Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived with her mother and father and 2 older brothers in a pretty white cottage at the edge of a big forest. She was a very good little girl, and everyone liked her because she was so helpful to her mother, so pleasant to her brothers, and did everything her father told her to. Although she was quite a pretty girl, the most remarkable thing about her was her long golden hair, which hung in lovely curls and sparkled in the sunlight when she played hopscotch with her little friends. And because of these golden curls, everyone called her Goldilocks. Now one day while Goldilocks was drying the breakfast dishes, she heard her mother say, "Today is the first day of spring, and I do wish we had a big bunch of wildflowers to brighten up the house." Now when Goldilocks heard this, she made up her mind to surprise her mother. And as soon as it was time to go out and play, she started for the forest with a large basket on her arm. She skipped along in the bright sunlight, saying a polite good morning to all the birds and animals she met on the way. "Good morning, Mr. Sparrow." "Good morning, Mr. Woodpecker." "Good morning, Red Squirrel." Now Goldilocks didn't know that deep in the forest lived a family of bears, a papa bear, a mama bear, and a tiny little baby bear. And at that moment they were just sitting down to a breakfast of steaming hot porridge, which everyone knows is the healthiest breakfast food a bear can eat. But there was only one thing wrong with this porridge. It was much too hot. And when Papa Bear took his very first mouthful, this is what happened.
Ow! Good heavens, Mama Bear! What are you trying to do to me? This porridge is much too hot. I'm gonna take a walk in the forest until it cools off.
Oh, dear, I'm terribly sorry. But it's such a nice morning, I think I'll go along just for the exercise. How about you, Baby Bear?
Oh, yes, I'm going with you. Wait for me. Here I come. Wait for me.
And all this time, Goldilocks was walking deeper and deeper into the forest in search of the wildflowers, when all of a sudden she came upon the very house which the 3 bears had just left. "Oh, what a nice, friendly house," said Goldilocks. "I think I'll take a peek through the window and see if anyone is at home." Of course she didn't know that this house belonged to the 3 bears, or she never would have come within 10 giant steps of it. But when she had taken a peek through every window and was sure that no one was at home, she decided to push open the door and take a look inside. As Goldilocks stood in the doorway, the first thing she noticed was the wonderful smell of the steaming hot porridge, which the 3 bears had just left on the table. Now the long walk had made her very, very hungry, so she thought to herself, "Surely no one would mind if I took a little bit of porridge from this big bowl." Now we all know the Papa Bear nearly burned his tongue to a crisp on this very bowl just a few minutes before. And it isn't surprising that it was still much too hot for a little girl like Goldilocks. She raised the spoon to her lips and started to take a mouthful when, "Ooh, it's hot. I certainly don't want any more porridge from that bowl. Maybe I'll sample this medium-sized bowl." The medium-sized bowl, of course, belonged to Mama Bear. But Goldilocks soon found out that this porridge was much too cool. So she moved around the table to the tiny little bowl, which belonged to Baby Bear. She took one spoonful and knew right away that this was the best porridge she had ever tasted. "Yum, yum," she said. "I'm going to eat every last drop of it because I'm so terribly hungry." Little by little, the porridge disappeared until there were only 4 spoonfuls left. "Oh, dear, I do wish there were more," said Goldilocks. "But I guess this is the end of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all." Now, like all good little girls, Goldilocks had learned to take a short nap after eating. So as soon as she had finished her porridge, she started to look around the house for a place to rest for a little while. As she walked into the next room, she came upon an enormous chair, which was as wide as a bed and as high as a bureau. But after she had climbed up into it, she found that it was much too hard for sleeping. So looking around, she noticed a medium-sized chair. But after she had tried it, it was so soft she almost sank completely out of sight. She jumped out of this chair and landed on the floor. And all of a sudden, over in the corner, she spied the cutest little chair she had ever seen. Now, this chair was especially built for Baby Bear and wasn't meant for anyone quite as heavy as Goldilocks, so you can easily guess what happened. Hardly had she settled herself comfortably when... And there she was, sitting on the floor with the pieces of the little chair all around her. By now she was pretty tired and even a little bit cross. Dear me, I certainly don't know why I can't find a bed to sleep in. I guess I'll try this door right here. And sure enough, there was a bedroom with 3 beds. Papa Bear's bed was so high, no matter how hard Goldilocks tried, she just couldn't climb up into it. Although she did manage to muss up the covers quite a bit. Next, she decided to try the middle-sized bed. Now, in case you didn't know, all lady bears are very much afraid of falling out of bed. So Mama Bear's bed was so low it almost touched the floor. Goldilocks found this bed very uncomfortable, and in a few minutes decided to try the smallest bed, which of course belonged to Baby Bear. Well now, this is more like it, said Goldilocks. Oh, I'm so sleepy. So Goldilocks fell fast asleep and soon began to have the most pleasant dreams. All the time Goldilocks was dreaming, the 3 bears were walking and walking through the woods until by now they were almost within sight of their little house again. And as they drew closer to their home, Papa Bear began to hurry along because he was sure by now his porridge would be just right. And Mama Bear began to hurry along because by now she had already had too much exercise. And to tell the truth, her feet were getting very tired. But Baby Bear lagged further and further behind until he began to annoy his parents very much.
Come on, Mama. I'm getting hungry. Can't you make Baby Bear move just a little bit faster?
Well, I'll try, dear, but you know what a little busybody he is. Come along, Baby Bear. Pick up your feet.
Yes, Mama.
Mind the branches.
All right.
Stop pestering that little chipmunk.
Gee, I never have any fun.
Be careful now. Don't get too close to that beehive.
Oh, Mama, wait for me. Here I go.
After that, there wasn't any more trouble with Baby Bear, and soon the 3 bears arrived at the door of their little house. By now, Papa Bear was terribly hungry, and as he entered the house, he forgot his manners completely. He rushed over to the breakfast table without even taking off his hat. And just as they were all sitting down, he noticed something was wrong and growled in a loud voice.
Someone has been eating my porridge.
What's that, Papa? Ooh, somebody's been eating my porridge, too.
Oh, someone has been eating my porridge and they ate it all
Thinking that burglars might have broken into their house, they rushed into the living room when all of a sudden...
Someone has been sitting in my chair.
Ooh, somebody's been sitting in my chair, too.
Oh, someone has been sitting in my chair and they broke it all up into tiny little pieces.
Well, by now the three bears were quite disturbed, because they knew for certain someone had been in their house, and might even be hiding in the bedroom at that very moment. Now, Papa Bear was a very brave bear indeed, and had never seen any animal that he was afraid of. Of course, he had never seen a lion or a tiger, or a rhinoceros or an elephant, or anything bigger than a red fox. So it's no wonder he was very brave. He started for the bedroom with Mama and Baby Bear close behind him. And just as he got inside the door...
Someone has been lying on my bed.
Ooh, someone's been lying on my bed, too.
Oh, someone has been lying on my bed, and here she is. Oh!
Now, anyone knows it's very hard to sleep with a little bear screaming in your ears. So Goldilocks popped open her eyes, sat up in bed, and spied the three bears, who were almost as surprised as she was. And then things really began to happen. Before you could say peace porridge hot, peace porridge cold, she jumped out of bed, scooped up her flower basket, and started for the door. Papa Bear made a grab for her with his big paws. But she was too quick for him. Through the door and out of the house she ran, with the three bears after her. Through the forest they ran, faster and faster. But soon Baby Bear began to drop behind, and finally stopped and cried out.
Let her go. I'm so tired. I just can't run another step. Mama!
Let her go! Baby Bear is crying. And besides, I've had too much exercise already today.
I'm not gonna let her go. I'm gonna catch her, and I'm getting closer every minute.
And as he drew closer and closer, Goldilocks became more and more frightened. And finally she thought to herself, maybe if I drop my flower basket right in his path, he'll stumble and fall, and then I can get away. Well, it's now or never. Here goes.
Whoop! What's this?
And there on the ground lay Papa Bear, with his nose in the dirt and his ears full of leaves, and the broken basket lying under his big, fat stomach. Then off through the woods went Goldilocks, laughing merrily as she skipped along home. And that night when she told the whole story, her mother made a promise never to go into the woods alone again, not even for wildflowers.